We get asked frequently why a program like this exists, and it's important to note that it is a pretty unprecedented degree. There is not another associate arts degree specifically in technical theater with this social justice component that is a direct transfer degree. And the reason we crafted it this way um, serves many purposes, but the first being that the career of stagecraft, and I'll extend that to production work on film, like the behind the camera offstage work, um, currently is dominated by folks of European descent, white folks, and is not a diverse workforce. And our focus in this industry has always been on what's the forward facing um, presence of the work. So, who's on stage, who's in front of the camera, and maybe that extends also to the director and sometimes the playwright, where these stories are coming and how they're told. But I would wager that it's equally important how those actors are treated in their dressing rooms, are treated off stage, are cared for in the telling of their story in the rehearsal process. So, training culturally sensitive, social justice, technical theater artists, I think, is part of telling the story and part of the telling the story conscionably. And there are incredible employment opportunities for trained uh, theater technicians, offstage storytellers, right? For instance, there are in Seattle, Washington specifically, there are more represented stage crews and fabrication shops per capita than really anywhere else in the country. And that labor revolution happened in the early and mid 90s, and most of these shops have represented workers and employees. In addition to that, um, during COVID has seen construction happen on the Key Arena, right? Which is going to increase in capacity down at Seattle Center. And there's a whole new convention center that's being built downtown. I keep looking out the window because I can look right at it. There it is. It's right there. And the amount of uh, employment opportunities when both of those are up and running in 2023, um, there's going to be, if we don't train people to take those jobs, there's going to be a drought and a lack of skilled laborers to actually go in there and hang lights and push boxes around for the Beyonce tour, and do multimedia computer networking events for the convention center, and work in projections, and do all of these sorts of things that the training at SCC is going to cover. So the need that Intamin had, which is for a home base, for a place where we can have our administrative offices year round, our costume shop, props and scenic shop, it seemed to be a natural fit. And when we proposed this idea in mid 2019 to the college, they were very, very receptive.
Yeah, and the Erickson is super versatile, and BPH, Broadway Performance Hall, is just gorgeous. So like students will actually have an opportunity to work within those spaces, both with Intamin and as a part of their training. Um, it's also interesting because Intamin becoming a theater in residence. It's not a new thing to have a theater in residence,
No.
but it's a totally new thing, right? To have a theater in residence at an affordable school, and where students in like an AA program can actually work with this theater. And piled on top of that, the Intamin is has a regional Tony Award. So you have AA level students paying less than $10,000 for a degree, getting actual practical experience, while working with a Tony Award winning theater to set them up for success through the rest of their careers.
Do you want to talk about the program, the scope of the program, maybe some about the curriculum, and what the opportunities are while you are enrolled in this program in terms of interfacing with the theater.
Yeah, absolutely. The program is a hybrid cohort model, and it'll begin on September 27th and will run over 6 terms over 2 years. So students will graduate then in spring of 2023. And during that time, there are a couple of different tracks going along at the same time. So they have their electives, and these are courses that are specifically already with the college and help students get to the AADTA. And DTA means direct transfer agreement, and this is an actual agreement with Washington State that ensures that the credits that students take for their AA degrees are actually transferable to other four-year institutions for those that want to go on in continuing study. So for students, they'll come into the program, get together as a cohort, and begin working together first through Jedi training and through some of these specific courses, which will set them up to be a part of the Intiman atmosphere. And they'll do an onboarding process with Intiman Theater, since they'll be working with us. Um, from there, for the rest of that first year, they're taking some technical theater skills classes. So there's a level 1 class and a level 2 class. We have an amazing lineup of master classes from experts really from across the nation that are coming in to actually work with students and teach them from their expertise. And then going into the second year, it gets really exciting because students will then use those skills that they build up and work as apprentices on Intiman main stage shows. So the actual season shows that Intiman is doing in both Erickson and the Broadway, the students of the AADTA TTSJ program will be working as apprentices on those shows themselves. And while they're doing it, they're continuing to look at some of those social justice issues and building their own toolkit of how to deal with those, which works up into their capstone project their senior year. So they will have done, by this point, it's about 300 hours of internships as an apprentice with Intiman. And then they'll have an opportunity to take more leading technical roles with SCC in that spring show to fully prepare them to go on into the industry or to go on into a 4-year degree and gain even more skills for specialization.
I was going to jump in and make a qualifying statement about the instructors that we have on the roster for the master classes, just because I'm a little like expertise phobic. And I do realize that there are people who are going to be leading those master classes who are qualifiably experts, but we have, with great intention, selected some early career professionals. So, for instance, we have a guest speaker who was my lighting design professor 20 years ago in graduate school. And we have some recent grad school graduates who are entering into the professional field, in 2021. So there's a span of experience that our associate students can identify with and intersect with. And as well as all of these individuals have their unique backgrounds and their unique paths that led them to the technical arts and theater. So we'll get some of that story. There are myriad pathways into this industry, and we've done our best to highlight as many of them as humanly possible when it comes to these master classes. Who can apply for this program, Crystal?
That's a great question. So it's just about anyone can apply for this program. So what's interesting is the SCC is open enrollment. meaning that you get in if you complete the application. And the application for the TTSJ is not dissimilar. So we do have a cap of 40 students to make sure that students within this cohort actually get hands-on experience working with these professionals, working within Intamin, so that we can provide full support for that. But for adults of all ages, college ready, it's there is no age restriction on this, and I think those that would be most interested probably will be within two groups. One are people that want to do a 4-year degree and want to save tens of thousands of dollars in doing so first by getting all of those basic requirements through SCC, but also in a way that like, frankly, I think some of them will go on to 4-year degrees and be a little disappointed that they're no longer working and having this direct hands-on experience. But it is a good pathway if someone wants to get into the actual design process. Another big category of people I see potentially being good fits are other adults who have always wanted to work in the industry, or those who are working on community theater productions or local theater productions that want to make that transition into professional theater, or just even want to gain additional skills from our experts, from the folks that are coming in, from our technicians working on shows, and gain those skills to bring back to the community theaters that they love to work in. So that's a range of adults. We anticipate the program will be very mixed intergenerationally, and I think that that is good for the strength of the program, but also towards tackling these social justice issues, because it's going to take all of us to actually make positive change.